Try it again.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Odapam.
If you could hear me, please write Shabbat Shalom to somebody else in the chat so we know for sure that you could hear us tonight. And I want to make sure you hear this part of the service because I want to give you a heads up for later on. So one of the things that we miss the most when we do these services is to be able to engage back and forth with all of you. Because when we lead a service, we're not doing the service in your place, but rather what we're trying to do is facilitate your experience in praying. And so in order to have a little bit more of the back and forth of being able to connect more than we usually can via YouTube, what we're going to do instead of a sermon tonight is one of my very favorite things. You could say it with me at home if you know what I'm about to say. We're going to do Ask the Rabbi. So I hope that you have some good questions. Holidays are just 2 weeks from tonight is Erev Rosh Hashanah. A week from tomorrow is Slichot. So if you have questions about the upcoming holidays or about Judaism in general, start thinking up those questions. Because when it's time for the drash, I'm going to invite you to please write your questions in there, and Ryan will read them aloud, and I'll do my best. And sometimes I'll ask the cantor if she could answer as well. Because as the cantor is about to tell us, Kiva Moed, for the holidays, the festivals, they are upon us. The words are not in our Siddur, but I think you'll pick them up very quickly. Before we greet the Sabbath bride, let's make sure we've all greeted one another. If you're new to worshiping with us, please, if you feel comfortable, introduce yourselves in the chat. And I am sure that Bri Bahar, a member of our Board of Trustees, will make sure to welcome you, and others will also welcome you. Don't be shy about saying hello or a shout out to any of your friends that you may see that are also online. Because the more we welcome each other, the more the Sabbath Queen knows that we are also ready to welcome her. So we welcome her with the words of our ancestors, Lecha Dodi, on page 138, and we'll be singing verses 1, 2, 5, and 9.
Lecha Dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nekabela. Shamor v'zachor b'ridor echad, Ish priyano elamei echad, Adonai echad, Shamor echad, Hashem u'tiferet v'ritia. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nekabela. kabbalah. Itoreri, itoreri, ki ba'orech uri, 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 shir daberi, kevod Adonai alayich nikra, lecha Adoni likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat Kabbalah. Lecha Adoni likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat Kabbalah.
Roi ושלום, עטרת בעלה, גם בשמחה ובזהולה, תוך אמוני עם סגולה, בואי חלה, בואי חלה.
Lecha Adoni likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat Kabbalah. Lecha Adoni likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat Kabbalah.
As we light the Shabbat candles tonight, we're thinking of our bar mitzvah on this Shabbat, about Tyler Huxell and about his parents, Maggie Krell and Carrie Huxell, and his brother Ben, who I know are happily anticipating tomorrow morning when Tyler will be called up to the Torah as a bar mitzvah. And so to the Huxell and Krell family, we are thinking of all of you. Tyler, don't go to bed too late, because it's a big day tomorrow. Oops, I should tell them where we are.
See the page.
And so we welcome in Shabbat with Shalom Aleichem on page 142, but for the blessings for the candle can be found on page 120.
Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei
Elyonim, Malachei Amlachim,
HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Bokrem l'shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyonim, Malachei Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu להדליק נר של שבת. אמן. ברכוני לשלום, מלאכי השלום, מלאכי עליון, ממלך, מלאכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא. צאתכם לשלום, מלאכי השלום, מלאכי עליון, ממלך, מלאכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא.
We continue together with the Chatzi Kaddish on page 142.
יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה.
Amen.
יעמד יברח חירותי וימליך מלכותי בחייכון יומכון ובחיי דכל בית ישראל. בעגלה בעגלה ובזמן קריב ואמרו Amen. יהי שמי רבה מבורך, לעולם לא מהמיה.
יתברך
יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתעלה שמי קודשו בריחו לעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה תושבחתה ונחמתה דמירן בעלמה ואמרו אמן. ברכו את אדוני המבורך. ברוך אדוני המבורך לעולם ועד. לה 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 Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bidbaro ma'ariv aravim
חוכמה פותח
שמיים
ובתבונה משנה איתי
ומחליף את הזמנים ומסדר את הכוכבים במשמרותיהם
ברקיע כרצונו
וחושך מפני אור מעביר יום ובין לילה מבהיר בין יום ובין לילה
אדוני צבאות שמו אהבת עולם בית ישראל אהבת תורה ומצוות חוקים ומשפטים אותנו לימדת הגן אדוני אלוהינו ושוכרנו ובקומנו
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Le'olam Vaed.
We continue together with the Ve'ahavta on page 154.
Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol me'odecha v'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavcha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam v'shivtecha b'veitecha u'v'lechtecha b'derech u'v'shochpecha u'v'kumecha u'kshartam le'ot al yadecha v'hayu letotafot bein einecha u'chtavtam al mezuzot beitecha u'visharecha leman tizkeru va'asitem et kol mitzvotai v'hitem kedoshim lelohechem ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim להיות לכם לאלוהים אני אדוני אלוהיכם אמת.
We read together on page 159. Sing the song of men and women, joined in understanding and respect, the song of God's miracles, an earth protected and cherished, a gift for our children and the generations to come, the song of a land once ravished by war, now, God willing, quiet and content, her soldiers home to leave no more, the song of a world redeemed, the song of peace.
Chamocha boinim Adonai Mi chamocha nedar b'kodesh Nora tehilot osef eleon Nora tehilot osef won't you help me sing these songs of freedom? It's all I ever had. Redemption song. Malchutecha, Banecha, Bokeh ayam Yisnei, Moshe Miriam. Won't you help me sing these songs of freedom? It's all I ever had. Redemption song, redemption song, redemption song. V'ne'emar kifada Adonai et Yaakov, וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו, ברוך אתה אדוני גאל ישראל.
During this month of Elul, as we begin to prepare for the high holidays that will soon be amongst us, this is the time for us to look back at the last year, to look at where we've been, and also to start to look forward at where it is that we want to go. Sometimes the path ahead of us seems unknowable or scary or just different where we are right now. And in those moments, we look for hope, we look for inspiration, we look for comfort, we look for someone to guide our steps into a better place.
Oh, guide my steps and help me find my way. I need your shelter now. Rock me in your arms and guide my steps, and help me make this day a song of praise to you. Rock me in your arms and guide my steps. Oh, guide my steps. Help me find my way. I need your shelter. Rock me in your arms, guide my steps, and help me make this day a song of praise to you. Rock me in your arms and guide my steps.
As always with the Vishamru, we think of all of our B'nai Mitzvah students, our students between 5th grade and 8th grade, those who are still anticipating their bar and bat mitzvah year, and those who are still in the midst of celebrating theirs or their friends becoming bar and bat mitzvah. So we hold you in our hearts as we sing this prayer with all of you. Page 162.
ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם, ברית עולם ביני ובין בני ישראל, אותי לעולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, וביום השביעי שבת שבת ויהי נפש, שבת שבת ויהי נפש. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם, ברית עולם ביני ובין בני ישראל, אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם.
We rise for the tefillah beginning on page 164.
Adonai, Sefatai Tivtachu, Fia Gidei Latecha. Adonai, open my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Velohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Velohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, Vekonei Hakol, Vezocher Chasdei Avot B'imahot, Umevi Geula Livnei B'neihem, Lema'an Shemo Be'ahava, Melech Ozer U'Mashiach U'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Abraham Vezrat Sarah, Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai, Mechayei Hakol, Atah Rab Le'Oshia, Morid Atah, Mechakel Chayim Bechesed, Mechayei Hakol Berachamim Rabim, Somek Noflim Verofei Cholim, Umatir Asurim, Umekayem Emunato, Lishanei Afar, Michamocha Ba'al Gevurot, Umidomelach, Melech Mimit, Umechayeh, Umatzmiach Yeshua, V'ne'eman atah le'chayot hakol, Baruch atah Adonai, Mechayeh hakol, Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, U'kadoshim b'chol yom, Yehalelucha selah. Baruch atah Adonai, Ha'el HaKadosh.
We continue praying privately from page 172 to 180, standing or sitting as is your custom.
יהיו לרצון עם רפי והגיון ליבי, יהיו לרצון עם רפי והגיון ליבי. lefanecha Adonai Tzuri Adonai Tzuri v'goali Adonai Tzuri Adonai Tzuri v'goali. Go inside your heart, just be. Go inside your heart and see what it wants, what it needs, what it yearns when you breathe. Go inside your heart and see. May the words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart be kind, be true. May they be acceptable to you. Oh, my rock and my redeemer.
That was lovely. Really, truly beautiful. Now we turn towards prayers for healing, healing of body, healing of spirit. One of the very difficult and sad things that we read about in the news these days is that one of the negative consequences of COVID is not just the toll it takes on people's physical bodies, but the toll it takes on all of us emotionally. It is a difficult thing for us to be separate from one another. Humans travel in packs. We need hugs. We need each other. And so as we offer a Misha Berach, a prayer for healing for those who are in need of healing or of body and healing of spirit, let's remember that there's a difference between keeping socially different or socially separate and being socially isolated. Let's reach out to our friends and loved ones who may be feeling lonely or sad, those who may be dealing with struggles of health or morale. Let's not leave anyone to deal with all of this by themselves. And so we now turn to page 371. And if there is someone that you'd like to say a prayer for healing today and you'd like to write their name in the chat, please feel free to do that. And as Cantor and Michael lead us in the Misha Berach, I'll be reading the prayers to myself, the names to myself of all those who are on our healing list. Let's do more than pray. Let's make sure that we reach out to all who are in need of us. Page 371.
Down
Making sure you have my back. So Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
I'm assuming people have been writing questions into the chat already. And Ryan is going to be my handy-dandy assistant tonight. She is going to carefully curate, right? You're going to carefully curate the questions.
Maybe.
And she'll read the questions out loud, letting me know also who is asking the question. And I will do my best to either answer your question or toss it over to my right and have the cantor answer your question.
Then I can toss it over to my left and have Michael answer it, who can then toss it to Ryan. Your choice.
And then I will throw it back to one of you.
Fun, fun, fun. So what do we have tonight?
Okay, first question is from Alice and Matanya Genosar. Question for the rabbi. Other than his disobedience for striking the rock in anger, is there another more symbolic reason that God did not let Moses enter the promised land?
So it wasn't just striking the rock in anger that Moses did wrong, but he also yelled at the people, and he took credit for what God had done. All he had to do was speak to the rock, and the water would flow forth, but instead he struck it with anger. He yelled and screamed at the people, calling them rebels, and then said to them, "Look what I have done for you." Well, he actually hadn't done it. He was working for God. And so when I look at that passage, I don't look at it as a punishment that Moses wasn't allowed to go into the promised land. I think that what God looked at and saw was somebody who needed to retire, that it was his time. Earlier in the Torah, God sees the Israelites questioning their own capacity to go into the land of Israel. And that's the situation with the 12 scouts going into the land of Israel. And they were punished because of their lack of faith by not being able to go into the land. And God told the Israelites that a new generation needed to be the generation that went into the land. And I think that when Moses screamed at the people and took credit for what God had told him, all he had to do was simply talk to the rock and it would happen. God looked at Moses and realized not only did a new generation have to arise, but it was time for a new leader to arise as well, that somebody with a different temperament was the one who needed to lead the children of Israel back into the land.
Cantor, this question is for you.
Ooh.
This is from Cameron Quinn.
Hi, Cam.
Has there been any research/analysis done as to the possibly linguistic rules of when we sing yai versus lie versus die?
Okay, first I have to say I get really worried when somebody starts asking about the scientific rules. The purpose, truly, of yai, lie, die, bim bam, is an expression of your soul, whatever that's at. You might notice that there are times when I sing lie. There are times when I sing a different vowel or a different syllable. Those sounds are really an opportunity to move past words, to even move past notes, and to reach into our depths. What are we praying? What are we standing with each other, standing with God, and wanting to say? It's a release and an expression. And I'd be happy to study more about that with you sometime, Cam.
So, first of all, totally agree with everything you said, but I want to add a little something, which is...
You need to add
No, not about that, about one of those three words, which is, if you ever hear an Israeli parent yelling, die, 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 they are not singing a nigun, because die...
Nor are they saying something horrible to their children.
Or nor are they telling their children they want their children to die, but die also means stop or enough.
As in, Dayenu.
Exactly.
Can I add something to that? Because
Absolutely.
my bubby told me that the yais, that was the Litvaks, and the dies, that was Galicianers.
That is true.
That actually sounds like a very accurate answer. I think your Bubby was right.
You know,
Always.
what I love about this answer, this is a very Jewish answer. Ask a question, you're going to always find a different tradition, a different story, a different way of looking at
It's
it.
like in Fiddler on the Roof when Tevye goes, well, on one hand, on the other hand, on the other hand, and he's
Yeah,
got
on
like
one
10
hand,
hands
On
going.
the other hand, yes.
So what else do you have for us?
Okay, from Jane and Steve Orkin. We read from the Torah 3 times during the holy days. Can you tell us, Rabbi, how the lessons of those Torah portions support the principal themes of the high holy days?
Oh, yeah. So, yes, I can. And I will refer to the Torah portions that the Reform movement does, because on Yom Kippur we do actually some slightly different Torah readings than Orthodox or conservative Jews do. So, and actually, Mr. Orkan, Dr. Orkan, we actually read Torah more than 3 times if you go to a synagogue that does Rosh Hashanah for 2 days. So technically, there's actually 4 Torah readings during the course of the high holidays. On the first day of Rosh Hashanah, we read where it begins, and God well, it doesn't begin in the English like this, but in the English translation is, and God remembered Sarah, Vayifchod Sarah. And what does God remember Sarah for? God remembers Sarah for life. So our first Torah portion on Rosh Hashanah morning is that we're basically utzing God and saying, hey, do you remember how you remembered Sarah for life? Except God remembered Sarah for life with by granting her a pregnancy at the age of 90. We're not looking for that God. We're not looking for that God. But God remembers Sarah for life, and we're asking God to please remember us for life as well. On the second day of Rosh Hashanah, that is traditionally when Akedat Yitzhak, the binding of Isaac, is read. And the reason we read the Akedat Yitzhak on the second day of Rosh Hashanah, the binding of Isaac, is because it immediately follows the story that we read on the first day. So that's really the reason we read the binding of Isaac, is because the story kind of keeps going. But that also has the theme of choose life, that Abraham was told basically not to kill your child, that your children should not die for your faith, but they should live for them. On Rosh Hashanah morning, Yom Kippur morning, now you may have to remember, or help me remember the difference between Yom Kippur morning and afternoon, because you do more of the Torah service, but I believe that is choose life in the morning, or is choose life in the afternoon or in the morning?
Afternoon is Leviticus 19.
So that's the one about the rules about paying your worker on time. So in the morning, we read from Deuteronomy, where Moses tells us, kind of describes that all of us stand here today together, from the guy who puts the tent peg in the tent, to the water bearer, to the leaders of our tribe, that all of us stand together, all of us on this day. And Moses calls upon heaven and earth as a witness that these mitzvot, these laws, are not far from us. They are not in the heavens, but they are close to us. And that the purpose of these laws are so that we shall live by them. And so that is the theme for the morning, because that's the whole point of all of this that we do. It's so that we shall live by the mitzvot and not die by them. And in the afternoon, we replaced the traditional reading, which I believe has to do with sacrificing a lot of animals, that it's from Leviticus. And we, instead of doing those that reading, we read from another part of Leviticus, and I believe we were reading from the Holiness Code, Leviticus 18 and 19. And the Holiness Code is telling us that holiness is not found through our sacrifices. Holiness is found through our everyday behavior. It's about honoring our parents. It's about loving our neighbor. It's about treating the stranger with love, and not putting a stumbling block before the blind or cursing the deaf. So all of these are reminders for us that we should live by our faith and not to die by them.
And can I add one thing? Please. One of the interesting things about the readings of that we read from Torah is how we chant them. So on Rosh Hashanah, we are chanting with a High Holy Day trope as we bring in the new year. And we continue that through Yom Kippur morning. But by the afternoon, when we're talking about the laws, when we're talking about the Holiness Code, we revert back to the regular trope that we use on Shabbat. And I find it really quite brilliant that it takes us back closer towards the mundane, reminding us that we take holiness not just on days of awe, but into our day-to-day life.
And for those of you who want to learn more about those Torah portions, we're going to have teachers on Rosh Hashanah morning and Yom Kippur morning who will be helping guide us through some of those portions. Now, I understand from Ryan that there are some political questions. No? She's giving me a look that when she says other good ones, that makes me scared, but go for it.
And this might be a question for Cantor, so you might want to stay up here. From Lisa Broadkey, what's the origin of the shofar calls? Tekiah, Shavarim, etc. I'm especially curious who decided there should be a Tekiah Gedola and why.
That's a good question. I don't know that I know the origins. I know that it's a call from mountaintop to mountaintop to announce, and to make sure that the holiday is celebrated when it should be celebrated. I can only imagine that Tekiah Gedola is as a gigantic emphasis.
So I can guess. This is a guess. I would bet that they actually probably have their origins in battle, because each of the notes have a different significance and kind of does a different thing to you physically. And so think of the bugler in the military and how when they bugle different things, is that the right verb?
Bugle. I didn't know it was a verb.
I don't know, but when they blow the horn in different ways, it's to let us know different things. And we know that the shofar was used in battle, and the Tekiah Gedola, I think, is to signal redemption. Because I also believe that during, at the end of the 6-Day War, when the Israelis reclaimed the Temple Mount, reclaimed the old city of Jerusalem, that the chief rabbi of Israel went up to on top of one of the buildings in Jerusalem, and he blew a Tekiah Gedola to signify that the war was over, and in a sense, redemption had come.
Well, and when we blow the shofar, I say we loosely, when the shofar is blown, it always reminds me of the trope of Torah, that it is such an ancient sound, and it's a way of expressing that we don't read Torah, we chant Torah, that we infuse it with these ancient sounds that originated with hand signs. And so when we take a ram's horn and we blow the sounds, that I'm going to research that, what each one represents, because I can't help but think that there's a connection between the two.
I read something just recently that said the shofar is supposed to be sounded 100 times on each of Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur.
Total. It's supposed to be from the beginning.
Beginning to the end.
From the beginning to the end of the days of awe?
No, from the beginning of Rosh Hashanah to the end of Yom Kippur, there should be 100 blasts. And the reason I remember this is because I used this in a sermon when I announced that I was pregnant with Ezra. Because there's a beautiful midrash that says that a woman cries 99 times in childbirth. And how is this compared to the high holidays where there's 100? So 99 times the woman cries, and then what is the 100th cry?
The baby.
It's the baby. It's the cry of life. And so that final Tekiah Gedola at the very end as the gates are closing, that is the sound of life. That we come out of the world of preparing for death and we reemerge fresh and new for life again. So I think we have time for we're going to do two? Okay.
2 questions because they're from our religious school students.
Oh, okay.
Okay, first one is for Michael. It's from Henry Oberst.
Nice.
How does Michael decide to use the bongo or the guitar?
Well,
You're going to tell the secret?
I do whatever the cantor tells me to do. Since we've been doing these remote services, Cantor has primarily been playing the guitar, with a few exceptions, mostly when it was a secular song after the sermon. But I mostly play the drum to accompany the guitar. And I was doing that back before there was remote. But we figure out in advance who's going to play what in which songs, and then I either play the drum or the guitar.
Or the foot.
Or the foot.
That was a great question, Henry. And what's our final question for the night?
Can we get a Tequila Gadola before it? Drum roll.
Okay, this is from Isaac Robinson.
Okay.
Why did God talk to people in biblical times but not talk to us now?
So I like that you're ending with a short, easy question. What makes them think that God doesn't talk to us now? God talks to us all the time. It doesn't mean that God is speaking English or Hebrew or any language like we speak, but I think God communicates with us a lot. For me, when I see the fires throughout the state of California, when I see the crazy hurricanes that have been growing in anger and intensity, I feel like that is God sending us a warning. And God is saying, pay attention to the earth, because you're on a tipping point and you need to do something differently. I think that when God sends us refugees, God is saying, soften your heart, that your country has become too hard, too cold, too uncaring. And God is giving us the opportunity to do better and be better. And so I think God speaks to us, but we don't always pay attention. In the prophets, I think it's Jeremiah is it Jeremiah or Elijah, the still small voice? I think it's Jeremiah, where God speaks to the prophet and says, I'm not in the wind, I'm not in the wind, I'm not in the thunder, I'm not in the lightning, I'm not in the rain. I'm in the still small voice within you. Each of us has a moral compass. Each of us has a conscience. And we slow down enough to pay attention to it. When we do what is right, even when it's hard, that little voice that tells you do the right thing, that's God talking to us. Now, if God starts talking really clearly, talk to your father. He's a physician. He'll know what to do. I'll explain that to you later. Usually at the end, first of all, thank you all for your questions. I miss the back and forth so much. And I didn't, of course not. This is good, where people ask good questions. Now, normally at the end of a sermon, I ask Michael to sing something special, but Cantor, I have a special request for you tonight.
What's that?
No, I know she knows this one.
Tequila Gadola?
No, even better.
That's going to be my go-to now.
So a dear friend of yours and mine is celebrating his 70th birthday this weekend, and I think we should sing him happy birthday. Do you know who it is?
I think I do know who it is.
Who's our special friend? So our very own Michael Hersher, believe it or not, I find it really hard to believe.
Crazy.
Is turning the age of 70 this Sunday. Sunday, right? And so...
And you haven't changed since...
I think
when
we
I
need
met
to
you, like
wish him a happy
30
birthday, and if you have any birthday wishes for him that you want to write in the chat, send your love to him, because I know that I love it when he is here, and whether it's COVID or a regular Shabbat, I love having him on the Bima, because he brings such a warmth and such a ruach to everything he does, and he just always puts a smile on our faces and makes our lives better for him simply being him.
Yes.
So let's sing to Michael.
Join us. Yom Huledet Sameach, Yom Huledet Sameach, Yom Huledet Sameach, Yom Huledet Sameach.
May you be be like Moses and live to 120,
Yes.
clear of eye, strong of limb, bang it on the bongos, and leading services just like you do with us today. Happy birthday, Michael.
Toda Rabbah.
So some announcements for tonight. Today is the very, very, very final day to sign up for your High Holiday Care Package. You could complete the form on our website. I highly recommend it. We not only have sweet treats and wonderful things for you in there, but we also have some things to help make your high holidays a little bit easier to celebrate when you're not in here with us. And you also have the opportunity to sign up to check out, like a library book, the High Holiday Machzor. So for those of you who want to be able to follow along with the book in your hands for the high holidays, you could check them out. You could check out the prayer book. You will also get to see the cantor and Denise Krevin, our Director of Education, and Leslie Oberst, our Executive Director, and many members of our board waving. Oh, and Ryan, will you be with us also? You will. We have a special.
And you'll see the rabbi.
And me. I'll be
And
there.
you.
And I made some special hats for the senior staff to wear. So come and see, because it'll be a sight to behold.
Yes, it will.
It really will be. But it's just a chance for us to wave at you from afar, blow kisses without blowing air, and just for us to be able to see you as we welcome in the high holidays. It's going to be wonderful. You will not get out of your car. We will make sure everything is safe. And for those of you who would like a high holiday care package or a prayer book, and you're unable to be able to come and pick it up at the time that we'll be passing them out, please, in your note when you sign up, give Leslie Oberst a little note. Let her know that if you are homebound and you need it delivered, we have a wonderful team of volunteers from the temple who will be dropping off baskets and books for those who need it. Tomorrow morning, Shabbat continues. Shabbat Part 2 begins at 10 a.m. with the virtual Torah study. 10:30, we'll be celebrating Tyler Huxell becoming a bar mitzvah. And at 10:30, there's also mini minyan tomorrow morning. Tomorrow night, we'll do our third in the series of Elul of discussions and Havdalah. It'll be led by one of our wonderful teachers, Susan Aguilar. And the topic tomorrow night will be how to forgive people when they are no longer with us. It's going to be a wonderful, wonderful session. Susan's a great teacher. And please check out this week's Chadashot and our website for more info about links and how to sign up. We also have on the website our high holiday schedule for you to be able to check out if you just go to the front page. Abby Blackman has made it so easy. All you have to do is click a button and it will take you to all of the high holiday offerings. We hope that you'll, and next Shabbat. I almost forgot to tell them about next Shabbat.
Yes, don't do that.
Next Shabbat is going to be amazing. We were not able to celebrate confirmation at the right time in the right season because of COVID. And we had very foolishly thought that by September 11th, this would all be past us and just a sad memory. Boy, was I wrong. Don't take me to Vegas. But mainly because I don't like Vegas. But so we will be celebrating confirmation on next Friday night. We have all sorts of special, wonderful things written by and presented by our confirmation students from the class of 2020. And we hope you'll be able to join us next Friday night. It's going to be fabulous.
Yes.
But now it is time for us to turn back to, I'm making sure I didn't miss any other announcements. Now it is time for us to turn to the Aleinu, to our closing prayers, beginning on the bottom half of page 586. Please rise.
Aleinu לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא, שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוסד ארץ, ומושב יקרו בשמיים ממעל, ושכינתו זו בגובה מרומים. הוא אלוהינו אין עוד, אמת מלכנו אפס זולתו, כך כתוב בתורתו, וידעת היום והשבות אל לבבך, כי אדוני הוא האלוהים בשמיים ממעל, ועל הארץ מתחת אין עוד. ונאמר, והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
Our thoughts now turn towards loved ones who are no longer with us. And it is with sadness that we record the recent passing of Susan Elihu, the beloved mother of Ramesh Sinai, beloved mother-in-law of Larry Raskin, and beloved grandmother of Elliot Raskin. Also with sadness, we recall the recent passing of Leah Lamming, the beloved mother of Debbie Castleman and Barry Fischel, the beloved stepmother of Glenn and Lloyd Fischel, and the beloved grandmother of Lavina and Paul Castleman. Zichronam livracha, may their memories forever be a blessing. We also recall loved ones who have passed away at this time in years past. We remember Joey Alir, Ruth Arnapol, Milton Babbitts, Marilyn Balin, Isadore Brown, Elaine Davido, Cantor Lillian Dawson, Juanita Delugich, Isadore Fawn, Jerry Fishbein, B. Fleischer, Saul Friedman, Ruth Garrow, Eva Gelman, Melvin Goldberg, Patricia Graham, Bernice Grossman, Lillian Hannes, Ethel Herman, Jeanette Horwich-Foreman, Solomon Hurwitz, Dolores Hesse, the 11 Israeli Olympic athletes who were murdered in Munich, Alice Jacobson, Julia Kaplan, Dorothy Katz, Cliff Kaufman, Rebecca Kirschenbaum, Hesse Lazarek, Helen Leichted Hunt, Anne Levin, Frank Levin, Walter Ludlow, Harry Mendelson, Jody Nathanson Critchfield, Fred Robinson, Morris Rosenberg, Alvin Rosenblum, Dora Rubin, Edward Samaville, Floyd Schwartz, Adolf Schuper, Esther Schuper, Paul Supkoff, Charles Bud Sweet, Frank Vinnick, and Donald Woodhouse. If there are names of loved ones that you would like to say Kaddish for and I did not say their name, please feel free to put their names in the chat list if you'd like to share with us who it is that you're saying Kaddish for tonight. I'd like to invite all those who are saying Kaddish for a loved one to please rise. Hamakom yenechem etkem betok sha'ar avlei Sion v'Yushalayim. May God comfort you among the mourners of Zion and Jerusalem. We rise to show comfort to those who mourn so that they know that we stand with them. We stand by their side in their time of mourning and sadness. And we continue together with the Mourner's Kaddish on page 598. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shemei rabbah, be'alma divrach yirtei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chai yechon of yom echon of chayei dechol beit Yisrael, ba'gala ubizman kariv v'imru, Amen. Yehi shmei rabba mevarach le'olam umei almaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitba'ar v'yitraman v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei tekudsha brichu, le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, dami ran ve'alma ve'imru, Amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru, Amen. Osei shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru, Amen. May the source of peace send peace to all who mourn and comfort to all who are bereaved. And let us say, Amen. We conclude tonight's service with a wonderful and beloved song or prayer, Adon Olam, on page 625.
Adon Olam Asher Malach B'terem Kol Yetzir Nivra Le'nasa v'chefso kol Azay Melech Shemo Nikra Ve'acharei kichot hakol Levado yimloch nora Ve'hu haya ve'hu hover Ve'hu yeh b'tifara Ve'hu yeh b'tifara Adon Olam Asher Malach B'terem Kol Yetzir Nivra Le'nasa v'chefso kol Azay Melech Shemo Nikra Ve'hu echad ve'ein sheni להמשילו להכבירה בלי ראשית בלי תחתית ולא העוז והמצרה ולא העוז והמצרה אדון עולם אשר מלך בטרם כל יציר נברא להיכנסה וחפצו כל אזי מלך שמו נקרא והוא אלי וחי גולי וצורכת לי בצרה, והוא ניסי ומנוס לי, מנת כוסי ביום מקרא, מנת כוסי ביום מקרא. אדון עולם אשר מלך, בטרם כל יציר נברא, להיכנסה וחפצו כל, אזי מלך שמו נקרא, בידו אבקיד רוחי, ותישן והעירה, ועם רוחי גבייתי, אדוני לי ולא יירא, אדוני לי ולא יירא. אדון עולם אשר מלך, בטרם כל יציר נברא, להיכנסה וחפצו כל, אזי מלך שמו נקרא.
That is not how we sang it when I was a kid.
No,
But it was
well
fun.
with organ.
I liked it. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.